Most robbers come through the front door with a gun. Some come through the back door with a crowbar. Jeffrey Manchester didn't do either. He knew something most criminals ignored. Doors have alarms, windows have sensors. But in the 1990s, corporate architects made a massive mistake. They assumed no one would ever look down. One night in November, the staff of a McDonald's were closing up. They locked the doors. They counted the cash. Then suddenly, a man dropped from the sky. He wasn't wearing a mask. He was calm, almost polite. He told them, "Please, don't be afraid. Just put on your coats. It's cold in the freezer." He emptied the safe and vanished back into the ceiling before the police sirens even started. The police gave him a name, the Roofman. For years, he was a ghost. But the robbery isn't the strangest part of this story. The strangest part is where he went after he escaped from prison. He didn't run to Mexico. He didn't hide in a forest. He moved into a Toys R Us. Jeffrey Manchester wasn't a desperate criminal. He was a former Army Reserve officer, disciplined, patient, methodical. He realized something unusual about fast food restaurants in America. They were all built the same. Same roof design, same ceiling layout, same drop tile ceilings. His method was simple but brilliant. First, surveillance. He would watch a McDonald's or Burger King for days. He studied the shift changes. He learned the routines. Then came the climb. He scaled the drain pipe to the roof. Next came the hardest part. He drilled a hole through the roof and slipped into the plenum. The plenum is the empty crawl space between the roof and the ceiling tiles, a dusty, cramped maze of wires and air ducts. And that's where he waited. For hours, sometimes longer. Lying flat in the dark, watching the workers below through tiny cracks in the tiles, listening to their conversations, waiting for the manager to open the safe. Then, when the moment was perfect, he dropped down. Jeffrey Manchester robbed 40 restaurants across the United States, and despite the dramatic entrances, he was strangely gentle. He never hurt anyone. He usually herded employees into the walk-in freezer, but if someone looked cold, he would offer them his own jacket. For years, he stayed one step ahead of the police, until the year 2000. That's when his luck ran out. He was finally caught in North Carolina. The judge sentenced him to 45 years in prison. Case closed. Except, Jeffrey Manchester wasn't finished yet. He was sent to Brown Creek Correctional Institution. For 4 years, he behaved perfectly. He worked in the prison metal shop. He was polite, friendly. The guards trusted him, but Manchester was always observing, watching, learning. He noticed something interesting. Delivery trucks came in and out of the prison every day. And more importantly, he noticed the underside of those trucks. On June 16, 2004, it was raining. The guards were distracted. Manchester quietly slipped beneath a delivery truck. He climbed into the chassis, wedging his body between the drive shaft and the spare tire. Then he held on. The truck drove out of the prison. Miles passed. Eventually, when the vehicle slowed down outside the gates, Manchester dropped off. Just like that, he was free. But freedom brought a new problem. He was still in Charlotte, North Carolina. His face was on every news channel. He had no money, no car, no friends. He needed somewhere to disappear, somewhere nobody would ever think to look. So he walked into a shopping center. There was a Circuit City electronics store. Right next to it, a Toys R Us. What happened next sounds almost impossible. Manchester noticed something unusual about the building's architecture. The wall between the two stores wasn't perfectly aligned. There was a gap, a hollow space hidden inside the structure. He slipped inside. Most people hiding from the police might sleep on the floor, but Jeffrey Manchester didn't just hide. He built a home. For 6 months, he lived inside the wall. He created a secret entrance behind a bicycle rack in the Toys R Us. Inside the wall, he constructed a 12 by 12 foot apartment. He painted the walls. He hung posters. He built a bed. During the day, he stayed completely silent, curled up in his small cubby while customers shopped just inches away on the other side of the drywall. But at night, the store became his playground. He emerged from the wall. He rode bicycles through the aisles of Toys R Us for exercise. He played video games in Circuit City on the giant display TVs. He survived by eating jars of baby food from the store shelves. He even hacked into the Toys R Us computer system, deleting surveillance footage that might reveal his presence. For months, he lived like a ghost inside the mall, the phantom of the strip mall. But living inside a wall has one major problem: it gets lonely. Eventually, Manchester started craving human contact, so he began attending a local church. There, he introduced himself under a fake name, John Zood. At church, he met a woman named Lee. She was a dental assistant. They started dating. Of course, he couldn't tell her the truth. He couldn't say he was an escaped convict living inside a toy store. So he invented a story. He told her he was a secret agent, working for a shadowy government organization. His apartment inside the wall, he explained, was a forward operating base, a hidden safe house. And because he spoke with such confidence, she believed him. Incredibly, he even brought her inside the Toys R Us after closing. They had dinner together inside his secret room. The silence, the secrecy, the strange food. It was all part of the mission. But eventually, Manchester made a mistake. He decided to rob the Toys R Us where he was hiding. He successfully stole the money, but this time, he left traces. The police found DNA evidence. It linked the crime to the escaped fugitive Jeffrey Manchester. Now the police knew who he was. They just didn't know where he was hiding, until he made one small, ordinary decision. He scheduled a dental appointment. Lee had given the police a tip. Manchester was coming to the dental office on January 5th, 2005. The police surrounded the building. Manchester walked in calmly. He sat down in the dentist's chair. The dentist leaned over him and said, "Open wide." Then suddenly, the doors burst open. Police officers flooded the room. Manchester didn't resist. He was exhausted. When investigators finally raided his secret apartment inside the Toys R Us, they were stunned. They found stolen DVDs. They found tools. They found a Spider-Man toy he had been playing with. And they found his journal. Inside it, Manchester wrote about the strange irony of his life. He had been clever enough to rob dozens of restaurants, bold enough to escape prison, careful enough to live inside a wall for months. But in the end, he got caught because he wanted a girlfriend. Jeffrey Manchester was sent back to prison. His current release date is set for 2036. The Toys R Us in Charlotte eventually closed. Years later, when construction crews gutted the building, they discovered the painted walls of Manchester's secret room hidden inside the structure. A tiny apartment no one had noticed while thousands of shoppers passed by every day. And that might be the strangest part of the entire story. We move through the world assuming that walls are solid, that ceilings are just ceilings. But for 6 months, right above the heads of families shopping for Christmas presents, there was a man living an entire secret life, riding bicycles, playing video games, eating baby food. The Roofman proved something unsettling. If you look closely enough, the world is full of hollow spaces.